Hello and welcome to the first ever round of the Veloce and Motorsport Games Pro Series, in which we will see real-life racers take on content creators and sim racers to finally decide who is quickest in the virtual world. My name is Hayden Gullis and I will be your host for today, and joining me in the commentary box once again is the wonderful Justin Sutton.
Thanks, Hayden. As you can imagine, I am absolutely thrilled to be here for this first Pro Series race. We've got a star-studded grid of drivers, and I'm expecting them to put on a hell of a show for us today.
So am I. It's going to be a very, very exciting race for us to watch. Of course, today's event is taking place because of the postponement of real-life sport due to coronavirus. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all of those who have been affected and to the health workers and the public services who are doing such a great job in these difficult times. We must all play our part though, so please stay safe and stay indoors. The Pro Series is brought to you by Giorgio Piola Watches. Giorgio is a legendary Formula 1 illustrator and over the past 40 years has been profiling every design and engineering innovation of the cars on the Formula 1 grid, trying to highlight every little secret of the speed of Formula 1. The Giorgio Piola brand was launched in 2017 with 3 limited edition models. Since then, the brand has expanded to 2 collections, several sub-collections, and almost 25 models that cover quartz and mechanical timepieces that are consistent with Giorgio's vision of bringing the spirit of racing into watchmaking. For this series, we asked you guys, fans at home, to pick which tracks you would like to see us race on today. We also let you design TMM Marduk's very own livery for this race, and now we want to get you involved once more. Thanks to our partners, Giorgio Piola, we are able to give away 2 of their incredible watches. All you need to do for a chance to win is follow, of course, Giorgio Piola, and also share this live stream, whether that's on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, or even to your friends on a WhatsApp group. And finally, last but not least, head over to our Twitter and retweet the one containing the watch. Good luck, everybody. But getting into today's race and moving on to the format, Justin, it's going to be a very, very exciting one. We've got a 15-minute qualifying session to get into on a completely different game. Of course, we were doing Formula 1 last week. Now we are on to iRacing. How does that differ to, of course, last week's event?
Well, there's not a ton of differences, but there are small differences, and it's especially important to those that are watching that aren't, typically sim racers. We've got laser scanned circuits in iRacing, in particular at Silverstone, which was the track that was voted for by the fans that we're going to be racing at today for the 2 races that we've got, the 25-minute race and the 15-minute reverse grid race as well. So we're going to have a couple of races, but it's just slightly different as in terms of the feel of the car. And just how forgiving the car might be. Now, we are using different cars as well, too. It's a different platform. It's iRacing, but also it's the V8 Supercars, over 600 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, naturally aspirated V8s. They've got a 6-speed sequential gearbox. So it's very different compared to the cars as well. So it's a very different sort of challenge for these guys.
It is going to be a very challenging day for some of them as well, because not a lot of them would have had experience with these cars. A lot of them have come from open wheel racing, and that's where their experience lies. So it's going to be difficult for those guys to come into this and try to put on a show, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. It's, again, a very powerful car, and, iRacing can be not so forgiving sometimes when it comes to the back end, stepping out, getting on the throttle, all that kind of stuff. But I have to say, I was keeping an eye on the times in the practice session that was going on, and it was quite close, actually. We were talking about, for an over 2-minute long lap, less than 3 seconds from first all the way down to into the 20s and stuff. So it's actually pretty close. There were definitely some names up there that I was noticing that were a little bit faster than everybody else. And surprisingly, it wasn't all sim racers.
No, it's going to be very exciting. I mean, of course, these guys are real-life racers, and iRacing is more of a simulator, whereas F1 people regard it as more of an arcade-style game. Because obviously, people want to pick it up and play at any opportunity. Whereas this one, you really do have to put in that time and effort. But I suppose coming from a real-life racing background, it is easier to transition to iRacing rather than Formula 1.
Certainly. Yeah. I mean, you can technically play iRacing with a controller, but there are not many people that do it. So this is one that's better for people that are used to using a wheel and pedals and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I certainly think it's more likely to favor the real racing drivers that we have so many of on today's grid in today's race compared to what we saw last week.
Yes, going over iRacing, because I mean, some of you at home may not really know what it is or what it's about. It is a more sort of simulation style game, and there are a few things where it differs to the F1. Whereas in iRacing, you have these things called incident points. They accumulate over the course of a race or a qualifying session. And these can be picked up through contact with other drivers or even just running wide, cutting corners as well. But you can get an incident point for just making a mistake and running wide, which can be frustrating. And 25 incident points in the races today will lead to a stop-go penalty. So this is going to be something that the drivers will have to think about, isn't it, Justin?
Yeah, no doubt about it. They really need to be clean out there. Now, 25 is pretty liberal. You know, I'd say that's pretty kind. A lot of other leagues and stuff, they'll run a much stricter sort of rule set. But I do expect we'll see at least one person getting a stop-go penalty, if we're honest. Again, that really just comes down to the experience level of all the drivers and that sort of thing. And again, you can pick it up for very small things. You can pick it up for having a spin, going off the circuit, having a little bit of contact, having a lot of contact. You know, they all provide different levels in terms of how many incident points you get. And again, you get 25 total before that penalty.
Very exciting throughout the rest of today's show. Qualifying, we are watching on board at the moment. That car in front of you is in fact Madu's car. Of course, it was made by you guys, the fans. We asked you to send in your pictures and we put it on this car. So that is why it's looking the way it is. It's just got all of your pictures from Twitter on top of it. So it's a very, very nice and interesting looking car indeed. But whilst we go through the qualifying, whilst you watch it on your screens, let's run you through the drivers that are currently in today's race. So, Justin, we'll start off with, of course, Lando Norris. He's back, third race in a row. McLaren F1 driver, champion in junior categories, and of course, has a lot of Twitch followers that a lot of people are probably watching and rooting for at home. Joining him on the grid is, of course, Nicholas Latifi as well. Had a great debut in Not the Bar GP last time out. Williams 2020 F1 driver and second in F2. What do you think about these two out on track?
Well, Lando's going to be quick. Again, he was one of the ones that I was watching in practice. He's definitely going to be one of the quick guys out there. A lot of experience. Latifi, a little bit, I don't know, a bit more of a question mark. But as you said, did a fantastic job last week at Not the Bahrain GP. I would say was one of the stars of the show, certainly contender for driver of the day for me. I was really impressed with what he was able to pull out. This is going to be a bit of a different experience for him, I think, comparatively, and I would expect Lando to be the quicker of those two, but definitely some strong drivers. I would expect them to be in the top half for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like we say, you know, they're not in F1 for no particular reason, so they are definitely going to be quick, no matter what car they are driving. Joining them on the grid, Stoffel Vandoorne is back once again, of course, 2015 GP2 champion, and also Formula E driver for Mercedes-Benz EQ. We've got quite a few Formula E drivers on the grid as well. Antonio Felix de Costa, he is also on the grid. Formula E driver for DS Techeetahs, so nice lineup for them. Archie Hamilton, 250k subscribers on YouTube, and also a GT driver, so very much like James Baldwin. Esteban Gutierrez, 2010 GP3 champion, 59 F1 race starts, and of course Mercedes test driver. So some very exciting names amongst those four, aren't there, Justin?
Yeah, and I have to say, in particular, out of all of those, I got to give a shout out to Esteban Gutierrez, who put in something like 90 laps in the practice session that we had earlier on. Like 90 laps. And again, it's more than 2 minutes per lap. So we're talking about 3 hours of, you know, turning a wheel in anger. My guy, that is incredible.
You can take these guys out of real life racing, but they will still be competitive, and they're all wanting to go for the win, no matter what they are racing on, which is just incredible to see. Out of those four, is he the one that your money's on at the moment, with all those laps of practice?
Yeah, out of Vandoorne, Da Costa, and Hamilton and Gutierrez, I think Gutierrez, again, he's putting in the work. He's looking very quick. He's going to be up at the front.
Amongst the rest of the drivers, we've got Benjamin Daly, of course, 400,000 YouTube subscribers. So that is, he is the content creator. We've already seen his car already out on track with the fan livery. Plays iRacing a bit. I'm not too sure how experienced he is, so it'd be interesting to see just how well he goes. Of course, we've got Gianbassi. He took part last time out in the Not the Bar GP. F1 Esports driver, and of course GT4 European Series driver this year. Nico Muller, another Formula E driver for Geox Dragon. David Schumacher is also out on track. He is the F3 driver for Charoux, and also nephew of Michael Schumacher and son, of course, of Ralph Schumacher. And Sean Gallale, one of the F2 drivers for DAM. So again, a great lineup, just adding to this list. It just gets better and better, doesn't it, Justin?
Yeah, a couple of virtual drivers as well there too, of course, in Benjamin Daly, Tiamat Marduk, and Jem Bullock-Bossi. Certainly, Ben Daly is going to be the one that I'm going to be watching, mainly because you can't miss that livery with all those Twitter pictures on it. It is unmissable. You will definitely spot that car in the crowd. Yes, you certainly can. We've also got Castel Neves. Got it there in the end. Of course, IndyCar driver, 24 wins and 3 Indy 500 wins as well. So, big name on the grid. Juan Manuel Correa, he's also on the grid, of course, F2 driver. Unfortunately, caught up in the incident in Spa last year, but doing such a good recovery, and it'll be fascinating to see just how quick he is out on track here today. Harry Tinknell. Struggling with a few of these names, Justin. Feel free to help me out anytime. Although your American accent might butcher them as well. Endurance champion, one class win with LMP2 cars in the 24 Hours Le Mans. And Ed Jones as well, who is surprisingly quick. Looking through the practice times earlier, IndyCar driver, 3 podiums in IndyCar. He's been quick today, hasn't he, Justin? Yeah, Ed Jones, definitely another one to watch, no doubt about it. He was one of the guys that was near the top in the practice session that I was keeping my eye on earlier today. So he's definitely going to be one to watch. Of course, super excited to have Juan Manuel Correa here as well. Super excited to see what he can do today at Silverstone in the V8 Supercars. But even more people, an F2 driver, an F3 driver, a couple of F2 drivers, in fact. So that's just adding even more spice to the sauce. Couple of F2 drivers, and we've got more to go. We've got Giuliano Alesi, F2 driver for HWA, son of Jean Alesi, of course. Jose Maria Lopez, 3-time touring car champion, LMP1 driver with Toyota, and James Baldwin, who is going to be one to watch out there. World's fastest gamer, GT3 driver for Jensen Team Rocket, Le Mans Esports winner, and also E-Rock champion. So this is going to be his territory. Formula 1, he struggles. We're watching a car out on track with a police livery, which I absolutely love. Whoever's come around him, that is amazing. That is Sasha Fenestras, I believe. So that is absolutely amazing. But talking about James Baldwin, love it. He's got to be one to watch, hasn't he? Oh yeah, I mean James Baldwin. I mean I've talked about this guy on so many different levels and platforms and stuff like that. As you mentioned, world's fastest gamer. He competes in anything that's virtual with 4 wheels. I mean, he's probably a champion at Mario Kart somewhere, I would imagine. He's just unstoppable. At one point in the practice session, I will reveal, he was quickest at some point. So he's, again, definitely going to be one of those guys near the front. Going to be one to watch indeed. Ryan Tavita, F2 driver for Trident in 2019. Sasha Fenestras, who we see out on track at the moment, Japanese F3 champion. We've got Pietro Fittipaldi, Haas F1 test driver. Luca Giotto, F2 driver for High-Tech, called 3rd in the 2019 season. Arjun Maini, ex-F2 driver. Martin Kodrick as well, GT driver. Nick Cassidy, 2019 Super Formula winner. Nicky Cruton, EFO driver. Louis Delétraz, 2015 Formula Renault 2.0 champion, F2 driver for Charoux, and also another Haas F1 test driver. And last but not least, Ido Cohen, an EFO driver. So adding to a list of names that is just incredible to see. It's truly unbelievable, the fact that we're commentating today on this grid of drivers. And that's a lovely Veloce livery. I'm wondering if that's James Baldwin. Livery. I think that is James Baldwin, actually. He is in the number 9. So, again, that is going to be one of the ones to keep an eye out for later on. But looking fantastic in that dark blue and joining this incredible roster of drivers that we have for today. And again, as I mentioned in the practice session, things look very close. At the moment, there's a pretty sizable gap of over 0.7 of a second between Norris and Finistras for the current pole position. But we've still got just under 12 minutes to go in this qualifying session. We don't even have all the times on the board, and I certainly would expect things to close up as we get closer and closer to the end of the session.
We've actually got 4 minutes to go. 3 minutes to go. Sorry, Justin. The counter.
Oh, excuse me.
Up, not down.
Counter's going the other way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going the other way. But still, that is where the big times are set, isn't it, Justin? Right at the end of the session is.
Whoa!
Oh, a little bit out of shape there. James Baldwin getting it on the grass, and he's gonna have to go again if he wants to try and get the pole time. He's currently in P5. Norris leading the way with a great lap, 0.7 of a second ahead of his old roommate Finistras. Miney currently in third, doing great, and Jones too. Ed Jones in P4. We said he was one to watch with James Baldwin currently fifth. Louis Delétraz, good show from him, P6 at the moment with Esteban Gutierrez in seventh. Chembala Bassi eighth, with Ryan Tafita ninth, and Kodrick in 10th. So that's the top 10 at the moment. But Justin, still time to go, isn't there?
Yeah, and that is very close from second right down to 11th, actually, about 0.6 of a second. Yeah, and that's the replay. Oh, beautiful
so
drift.
Close to the wall on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, if this was a drifting competition, that would have been top of the day, I think. But yeah, unfortunately, it's not. So James probably won't be super thrilled about having that spin. But he is currently in the top 5, and it is a 25-minute race, the first race that we have before the reverse grid race, which was extremely popular for last week's Napa GP. So yeah, expecting it's going to be a lot of fun once again, but I imagine James is running out of time here. He really needs to have a good lap here.
Yeah, he needs to get moving. Of course, it's a 2-minute lap, so one mistake and you've got a long way to get back round to go. Again, of course, the reverse grid today is slightly different to how it was last week in Not the Bar GP. This time around, it is, of course, the top 10 finishers from the first race get reversed. So if you finish 10th, you're going to be starting first on the grid for race 2. It just means that it stops people who are having a bad race in P11 just drop to the back or leaving the session at the end of the first race, and it gives them something to aim for. Even if you are outside the top 10, it still gives you something to aim for. If you can get into that 10th position, it means you're going to be starting from pole in the next race, and that is going to give you a great opportunity in race 2, isn't it, Justin?
Exactly right, and it's a shorter race as well too, so starting from pole is even more important actually in the second race because people have less time to make those overtakes, and the quicker guys are going to have some traffic to navigate their way through. That was right on the edge.
Very, very close.
Looking fantastic though. Again, I'm a little bit biased, but that does look good out there. Having a look at Lando Norris currently.
Yeah, I wonder whose car this is on track at the moment.
Yeah, he is the only driver I think with a 3-digit number, and it's 3 3s, and it says Norris in huge letters. So yeah, definitely easy to spot Lando.
Beautiful to see. Of course, our current pole sitter at the moment as the clock is about to run down. Drivers can't set a lap, can they, after night racing? You can't set a lap after the countdown is done. So this looks like it's going to be our qualifying position as Latifi just gets a lap in there to move himself up into P17. That was very close. I'm not too sure. Maybe these guys will be able to set a lap time at the end of the session as we're watching at the moment. Arjun Maini go on his, maybe this is his last final lap, not too sure. Whether they can they put in times, Justin, or is that it?
I think it depends on the server settings, and I'm not sure. I mean, based on how these guys are still going, I'm willing to bet that they're able to finish their laps because they seem to be pushing pretty hard. They may just be getting some extra practice time in.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Jones went up into second place. Great lap time from him. Only 0.6 of a second slower than Lando Norris. Miney is still out on track. Can he move himself up the ranks? P4 at the moment. He comes across the line, and it is only good enough, or is this the second line? No, it is only good enough till fourth position at the moment. He's going to have to step for P4, but a great qualifying, you've got to say, for Arjun Maini.
Yeah, really, Lando getting up on 2 wheels. Yeah, really good qualifying session, but Norris really a cut above the rest. I have to say, that's not how it looked in our practice session that we had earlier. But of course, you know, when it comes time to put in the performance when it counts, that's what separates the good drivers from the great drivers. And Lando Norris doing a fantastic job. Again, that is a scary quick lap. So he's going to be starting from pole position. But it is very close behind him. Jones, Fenestraz, Miney, those three are within a tenth and a half of each other. So it is, we're going to have a lot of battling going on. And look at the number of drivers that are under 206, that are in the 205s. It's going to be a good race.
Going to be very, very close in that mid-pack, isn't it? You might have Lando Norris, Jones, Fenestraz leading the way. I think Baldwin should be pushing up there as the race goes on. I guess maybe pressure just got to him in the qualifying session. A couple of mistakes, and that has got to be frustrating there for James Baldwin, currently in P6 on the grid. But still a good showing to be in the top half, and you are going to definitely be in the fight come at the end of the race.
Yep, yeah. That was quite the session. Got some names right up there. So yeah, in the end, they were able to obviously finish their laps because times were still coming in even after it ticked past 15 minutes. But yeah, that was an exciting one. Again, the big surprise there is definitely Lando Norris's time, though. We knew he was going to be near the front, but it was pretty close between himself and Jones and Baldwin and Gutierrez during the practice session earlier. So yeah, but he put it on pole when it mattered most.
Should be going to of course, our sponsor, Giorgio Piola. And don't forget, if you want one of those beautiful watches, then you can possibly get one. You know, we are running a competition at the moment, so don't forget to get involved. Follow Giorgio Piola, and also don't forget to share this video to anywhere, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want, to your friends in a WhatsApp group. And don't forget that you can also get involved by following us on, retweeting our tweet. Got there in the end, Justin. Retweeting our tweet and of the watch if you want a chance to win one of those beautiful watches. Right, race number one, Justin. We've had qualifying. It's been a good qualifying session at the moment, setting us up for a very nice race. But let's talk about where we will be racing. Silverstone GP.
Fantastic circuit. I mean, and this is going to be one that everybody knows. Any track driver is going to be very familiar with Silverstone. So I think this is a fantastic choice by the fans. Again, of course, it was the fans at home who voted for the circuit. Personally, I voted for Watkins Glen, but, you know, I had to go for something on this side of the Atlantic. But a fantastic circuit. Who doesn't love Silverstone? I've commentated on so many races at this circuit over the years. And it is, you know, really just a staple of motor racing in general. So really looking forward to these two races. Again, it is a 25-minute race that we have ahead of us for the first race here. And it is going to be based on their qualifying orders. But yeah, we had some surprises in qualifying, such as James Baldwin being so far away from the front. Well, we say so far by his standards, I would say so far from the front. So there's definitely a few drivers we're going to be looking at to move up the field.
Certainly. I mean, like you said, James Baldwin, definitely. Esteban Gutierrez putting in those like 90-something laps earlier on. He'll be looking to make his way up the field as well. Cembula Bassi being a sim racer. You'd like to think that maybe he would try and push up further down the field, maybe be a bit disappointed by that position for himself. But talking more about Silverstone, of course, it is a great circuit. Let's talk about the main point. Is underway, I believe, or is this just the formation lap at the moment? I think this might just be the formation lap at the moment for today's race. So let's go on board with this then. Norris, of course, leading the way. Jones in second. Fenestraz there in third. A couple of drivers switching over positions. They're side by side as the formation lap goes. Of course, the race will not get started until they come round the final corner. Miney in third there, Fenestraz fourth. So just switching over positions, jostling for places, trying to have the best possible line as they go across the start-finish straight. Norris will lead the way. When will he go as they round the final corner now? And we are off for the Veloce and Motorsport Games Pro Series. There's a crash in the background there. A couple of drivers spinning around Oh, I think someone was on their side there in the background as well. But Norris leads into the first corner with Fenestraz alongside him. He's got the inside line to turn 2, but they have the outside line now down in towards the third corner. We've also got Jones having a look there. Sorry, that was Fenestraz going side by side with Jones as Gutierrez is getting involved. What a start from Esteban Gutierrez going round the outside now with Fenestraz down in towards the loop corner. Can he get the job done? There's a car spinning in the background. I believe that was Nicholas Latifi as Correa is going round as well. He's down in 17th position, but the battle at the front still continues. Norris in the lead, Fenestraz in second, Gutierrez in third. What an opening couple of corners that was, Justin.
Yeah, that was a bit hectic. We saw a few cars going off. As you said, I think Latifi was one of those, but he did keep pointing the correct direction. We are on board with Esteban Gutierrez at the moment, who has Fenestraz just ahead of him. You can see Lando Norris already starting to build a pretty solid gap as we make our way out of left field through Woodcut and down towards Copse. It's a pretty sizable gap, but he was the only one really that wasn't having to do any sort of battling. He had a fantastic start to this race, made it through turn 1 nice and cleanly, and now he's got that gap and he's going to try and manage that as best as he can. But as you said, Gutierrez getting a fantastic start, and he's all over the back of Fenestraz. Well, actually, this is an absolute train of cars, and in fact, Gutierrez is the one that's starting to build a gap currently as they make their way through Maggots and Beckett's for the first time in this race. It is single file through here, at least at the tip of the spear, where all the best drivers are currently sitting currently. But on board with James Baldwin, he didn't have the best of starts. He's got Bologna just ahead of him. He's going to make him side by side, actually, down the hanger straight towards Stowe and see if he can clear that car before they get into the braking zone of Stowe. And it looks like he just about has. Actually, Bologna going very slowly, losing a few positions there.
Oh, someone round there. Who is that? Is that Esteban
Gutierrez?
Gutierrez round. Oh, such a clean, great start at the start of the race, being patient whilst also being aggressive. And unfortunately now he's gone round and he's dropped all the way down into 8th position, back where he started on the grid, of course, just ahead of Luca Giotto, who's currently in P9, chasing right down the back and go down in towards turn 1. Not too sure whether this is going to be an overtaking move, but Giotto has a little look, but he holds on to position now. Will he set him up for turn 2 and turn 3? You have to go round the outside of turn 2, but you will get the inside line down into turn 3. Late on the brakes goes Luca Giotto. A little bit of a lockup, but it looks like he has got the job done as they go into the loop section. Esteban Gutierrez having a little look up the inside. Giotto gives him space. He now holds the outside line through his left-hander onto the Wellington straight, but Giotto holds on to position. Ran a little bit wide there, not too sure. He might have picked up an instant point as we've got a couple of drivers into the pits for damage, and that is going to cost them a lot of time. Into the pits is Muller, Galeo, Castro Neves, Costa, Fittipaldi, Daly, of course, teammate Marduk, Fruton, Hamilton, Lacey, unfortunately out, same as Nick Vries and the names who did not take part at the bottom of that list. So what on earth has been going on with those guys? Hopefully we get a replay later on in this race to see exactly what has happened to those guys further down the field. But cutting back to the action on board with these guys in the mid-pack. We said the mid-pack was going to be difficult. We're on board with Harry Tinknell as they're going in towards Cox and in towards then Maggots and Beckett. Currently doing a fine job is Tinknell. Gutierrez just ahead of him, dropping down from the start. He's going to be very disappointed, but for Gutierrez, it's going to be important to keep a clear head still. It can be very easy to get flustered, to get annoyed, and then you start to make more mistakes, don't you, Justin?
Yeah, exactly right. And especially if you start getting involved in incidents, you increase the likelihood of picking up some damage on your car. For those that are watching, the layman that hasn't had the opportunity to try out iRacing or even watch much iRacing, you can pick up damage, and that can affect your car, the handling of the car, and just the overall speed as well. So we can only guess as to whether or not anybody has any sort of damage. I think when Bolek Bassi was dropping down on the previous lap, that may have been because of a slowdown penalty or something like that. Because he seems perfectly fine now. He's going at full speed. Maybe he had a hardware issue, something along those lines. But ever since dropping down, he's going on the attack. You can see he's right behind Giotto and thinking about making a move. He's in that very bright teal car is Jem Bolek-Bassi, so very easy to spot. Meanwhile, Lando Norris out at the front, building a gap. Yep, he's just extending that gap to Fenestraz behind ever so slightly. It's not a huge gap, but it is definitely bigger than the last time we had a look at this pairing. And here we can see exactly what's going on with Lando Norris, with Nicholas Latifi, with James Baldwin. We can see how they're all getting on. What was that from Lando? I'm not sure what that was. Unfortunately, we can't hear him. Yeah. But yeah, very interesting stuff.
Great stuff there. It's great to see those guys actually see their faces whilst they're racing. Of course, In real life, you don't really see that. They've got helmets on, so it's difficult. But of course here, they can just set up a webcam and you can see him as Galale still looks like he's in the pit. So is Cohen. But coming out of the pits now, and they should come out just ahead of Castaneves, Gruetten, Humet Mardu. Costa's still in the pits as well, as is Archie Houghton. So long pit stop for those guys. Of course, damage can cost you massively. But there is still a long way to go. We're already 5 minutes into this 25-minute race. So a long way left to go for these guys, as Lando Norris still leading the way. He's doing a fine job at the moment. Delétraz is in second, not really hunting him down too much. He's still in his own battle with Ed Jones. The gap between those two, just about second at the moment between Delétraz and Jones. James Baldwin has gained a couple of positions. He's moved up into P4 at the moment with Louis Delétraz up to P5. Okay, let's have a look at a replay of the start as we're looking at the back, or at the mid-pack of the field here. So who is this going round? Someone's just stopped on the track going very slowly, and then you've got the number 7 car, or
Nico Muller.
Nico Muller getting punted round. A lot of them having difficult starts and not really getting going at the opening lap of the race, unfortunately for those guys, as we're back on board chasing down the white car in front there. On board with Esteban Gutierrez, trying to make up for his difficult start there. Of course, he had a great first opening start, but then the second part, not great from him, with collision with somebody else lower down the track. Cembolo Basile, as you said, in that bright teal car just ahead of him, with Luca Giotto in between after making that great move on Esteban Gutierrez into actually this section of corners. So going through the rest of the field, Kodric currently up into P7, Ryan Tabita up into P6, so they've had good starts as well. Cembolo Basile, of course, P8, Luca Giotto 9th just ahead of us, and Gutierrez at the moment in P10, and if he holds down this position, he will get the pole position for race 2. But as a driver, will you hold position, Justin, or will you go and try and make as many positions as you can?
Oh, I'd just go for it. Absolutely. You know, this is all for fun. This isn't an officially sanctioned FIA championship or anything like that. So I say go for it, which we have been seeing a lot of, to be honest. We have seen a lot of people just kind of going for it, which has been truly fantastic. So great racing that we're getting already. I have to say, I'm surprised Volkswagen hasn't really been able to break away from Giotto. Luca Giotto, by the way, and Tavita are the big winners in the top 10. Oh, that's a big moment there. Yeah. Volkswagen off the circuit. He's going to be side by side with Giotto on the run down towards Beckett and it looks like Volkswagen doesn't want any of that.
Easy mistake there from Cembolo Basile, just sort of missing where he's turning in for Copse corner. It's a difficult corner. It's a high-speed corner. And if you don't get the correct line, you will be put out wide and hung out to dry there. But he's currently been overtaken by Luca Giotto, which is going to be a little bit difficult for him now, as he's got Esteban Gutierrez right on your tail. You said earlier, just go for it. Will Esteban Gutierrez just go for it down in towards the slow? No, he doesn't. Lock up though from Jem. Maybe he has got a problem on that car, as it was just another little bit of a wide moment, but he is catching up to Luca Giotto. Will he go for the overtake on Giotto to try and regain that 8th position? Giotto goes wide, but he's going to have the inside line in towards here, but Cembolo Basile now gets the inside line into the final corner. Up the inside goes Cembolo Basile, and he is back up into 8th position. But Giotto goes for the move. Gutierrez tries to make it 3 wide, but he thinks better of it for the time being. You cannot go 3 wide in towards turn 1. It is a very high-speed corner, and to go 3 wide would be a very, very silly thing to do. But Gutierrez having a look up the inside. Luca Giotto into the corner that Giotto got past on a couple of laps ago. Gutierrez gives him a taste of his own medicine, gets the inside line in towards the loop. Can he hold on to position onto the Wellington straight, as we're now on board with, this is, I believe, Tinkel with Stoffel Vandoorne just behind him, as the battle still goes on ahead of us. Giotto trying to get back at Esteban Gutierrez. Cembolo Basile will be loving this at the moment, because it's going to allow him to get a bit of a gap. But again, Jem a little bit wide, but wide on entry, late apex. And actually, that seems to have really done him in a favour, because he's starting to pull away from these guys, Justin.
Yeah, this is an unbelievable battle that we're having, actually, between Volkswagen, Gutierrez, and Giotto. And again, we've got Tignell in the background there, just waiting for something to happen. He could easily get involved, as could Vandoorne and Latifi as well, not that far behind, and Kodric even. So if these guys continue to battle, or if they start battling even more, this is actually working out well for Volkswagen, as Giotto thinking about going side by side with Gutierrez. into the Maggots-Beckett section. Meanwhile, looking a little bit further up the road, Fenestraz now defending from second position. He's got Jones just behind him. Baldwin another 1 second adrift, but Ed Jones doing a fantastic job in third position currently on the back of Fenestraz. Jones dropping a position. Oh, there he goes up the inside. And he's gone really, really deep into Stowe. He's several car lengths wide. That means he is going to lose the position once again to Fenestraz. And now Baldwin's all over the back of him.
Into the clutches of James Baldwin indeed, who is right on the tail of Ed Jones as we come into the Club Vale section of the Silverstone circuit. Through the final corner now, will James Baldwin go for a move on the DTM driver as they now come down the start finish straight in towards a high-speed turn 1, which follows another high-speed corner of turn 2. No real opportunities to go for an overtake there. Jones a lot quicker through those two corners than James Baldwin. Will he go for a move down in towards turn 3? He thinks better of it. He's happy with his P4 position at the moment, but if I know James Baldwin very well, he will be itching to try and get closer to Jones and really put a charge on Fenestraz for P2. Norris leading the way very comfortably at the moment in P4, in the lead, sorry, with 4 seconds of a gap to Fenestraz, with a little bit of a gap there from Baldwin back to Delétraz, who is fighting with Ryan Tavita out on track at the moment. Bullock-Bassi seems to be getting away with Gutierrez, but Giotto is still hot on his heels as we're still watching this battle with James Baldwin go on the attack of Ed Jones. Where's the best opportunity, Justin, do you reckon, to go for an overtake on this circuit?
Brooklands is going to be a good shout. Also into Stowe as well. Unfortunately, we saw that didn't work out so well previously for Ed Jones at Stowe, but that doesn't mean you can't try it again. I'd certainly say give it a go. Is James Baldwin going a little bit wide there at the exit of Copse once again, and then make your way through Maggots and Beckett's. But yeah, into Stowe is a fantastic opportunity. Into Brooklands, you can even go around the outside into Brooklands, which of course gives you the inside for Luffield, which is a much longer corner, much more difficult to hang it around the outside through Luffield. So those are going to be the main opportunities. But I mean, we've seen overtakes all over the circuit today, so I'm not ruling any corners out.
I'd say Village is actually a good place to go for an overtake. The turn 3, where we saw Luca Giotto get past Gutierrez, then Gutierrez get back past Luca Giotto as we're watching a replay of Correa. His car looking very damaged at the start of this race. The front end there as he gets overtaken. Oh, a little bit of a nudge there. The 26 car goes round, and maybe a little bit more damage for Juan Manuel Correa, unfortunately. Galeo went round, or Correa won forward?
Yeah, he tapped Galeo.
Okay, Galeo went round. Galeo went round. That's probably why Galeo was into the pits earlier on with some big damage possibly coming off the wall from that collision, as we're still watching this battle from James Baldwin hunting down Ed Jones. Not close enough though, once again in towards turn 3. He sort of gets close through the Club Vale section, but then Jones seems to have the upper hand through the section of corners where you are going to be able to go for an overtake. The big braking zone where you want to try and get the move done. So that's really working in Jones's favour, but he is still not able to go for that overtake on the police car in front of him, which of course is Fenestraz.
It's not often that you see cars chasing a police car. Usually it's the other way around, but that's the situation we find ourselves in today. Look at that's a lovely angle looking backwards at James Baldwin as they make their way through that long left field corner. You can see double apexing it is James Baldwin trying to get himself a better exit, and as they make their way through Woodpit, he's going to be hoping to be using that slipstream. You can overtake into Copse as well, because of course Lovefield is such a slow corner. If you get a great exit and the car ahead gets a terrible exit, you can be side by side through Copse. James Baldwin again closing up as they hit the apex through that high-speed right-hander. Very close between all three of these, and it looks like Jones, no, he's not going to be close enough. He's about a car length, maybe a car length and a half behind. Oh, he's not nearly as fast as James Baldwin, though, through these S's as Baldwin closes right up. Oh, Jones is out. Yep, very wide there, and that is going to be Jones through.
Jones up the inside there on Fenestraz. Now James Baldwin looking to get involved in towards the road, around the outside possibly of Fenestraz. If he can make it work, Jones just ahead of him. Fenestraz up the inside, holding it late on the brakes. Can he keep it in there? Yes, he can. On the apex, James Baldwin tried to get a good exit there on Fenestraz, but Fenestraz, real-life racing driver, knows how to defend a position, and he blocked him perfectly on the apex as Ed Jones, really riding the curb on the inside through the corner. This battle is so tasty, and also it's allowing Lando Norris to run away with a victory at the moment. 6 seconds up the road is Lando Norris, looking very comfortable as we are over the halfway stage of this 25-minute race. Nicholas Latifi comes into the pit lane and will lose out position there to to Arjun Maini. But Fenestras currently in the middle of this sandwich, a little bit of a bump there from James Baldwin, who goes up the inside in towards the loop. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can, but Fenestras will go for the switchback move, cuts back on James Baldwin. Will he get a greater exit down in towards the Wellington straight? Here goes Fenestras on James Baldwin in towards Brooklands, then Luffield. Can he get the job done? Maybe will he go on the inside? No, he decides to settle behind Baldwin for the time being. And all this battling between the two of those is, one, allowing Ed Jones to move closer and solidify that second place, but also allow Louis Delétraz and Ryan Tavita to come into this battle, because they're only a second down the road, Justin.
Yeah, I'd imagine they might even put their battling on hold now that they can see the cars ahead. Bit of a carrot at the end of the stick sort of effect. Now that they can see that battle for what used to be second position, which is now developing into a battle for third position, that might just kind of be the motivation that Delétraz and Tavita need in order to close up to these two and maybe stop squabbling with each other as we are approaching the end of this race. We got less than 9 minutes to go before we hit that 25-minute mark. But James Baldwin, very interestingly, that last time through Stowe, you'll notice that he didn't actually try to go around the outside, and I think that's because he remembered when Fenestras went wide at that exact corner, and I think he was probably expecting the exact same thing. But look at that, he had a much better run through Maggots Beggots. Oh, not a great run through Stowe, but again, Fenestras seems like he's running a bit deep through that corner, which I think could mean that Fenestras is going to come under attack from Delétraz very soon here.
Possibly. I mean, he is falling off the back of James Baldwin at the moment. Of course, then Delétraz is behind, and Delétraz is behind, and then you've got Ryan Tavita in another lovely Veloce livery car hunting down these two that are currently battling, like you say, for third position. Ed Jones currently moving away and sort of running away with second place at the moment. Be interesting to see whether James Baldwin can catch up to him in the remaining few minutes of this race. Of course, we're under 10 minutes left to go now, so it is going to get very interesting. Lando Norris looks comfortable at the moment, but hopefully we haven't commentator cursed him, because he is 7 seconds down the road from Ed Jones. James Baldwin currently holding on to P3 with Fenestras in. Louis Delétraz currently in the top 5, 5th position with Ryan Tavita in 6th. Jem Bassi 7th, holding on to that position ahead of Luca Giotto, with Tinknell in 9th, then Gutierrez rounding out the top 10. Interesting to know, Luca Giotto gaining 7 positions from his starting place, so he's had a fantastic race compared to his qualifying, and Ryan Tavita as well, 6 positions gained from qualifying. So these guys are doing fantastically as we're watching on board with Esteban Gutierrez now trying again to actually no, he's lost the position to Tinknell, so he is trying to get back past the endurance racer. Is Tinknell going for that double apex version of the corner and working a treat for him with the exit, Justin?
Yeah, I got to point out, Kodrick as well has been on a bit of a charge after pulling a huge gap to Vandoorne. Those two were a few seconds adrift of Gutierrez, Tinknell, Giotto, all of those guys, with Kodrick behind. But Kodrick overtook Vandoorne at some point and has now built an absolutely massive gap and is now running right behind Gutierrez. You can see just joining this battle in that orange car as we have a look once again at Lando, Latifi, and James Baldwin. And Lando, it looks like, again, talking. I will never understand how someone can talk and drive a racing car like that, but Lando is a special guy, and he is able to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, he's got to entertain the thousands of fans that are currently watching him on the screen. But it is, like you say, mental to see how he can drive and talk. So many people find that difficult to do. Of course, he will talk on sporadic occasions, but that is incredible to see. Or he may even be in a Discord server with a few of the other guys, as someone's gone round there. It's Tinknell, who I believe has gone round. Slight collision between, I think that was maybe Vandoorne coming through behind. As I don't think that is Vandoorne, it's the Red Bull livery card, so I doubt that would be Stoffel Vandoorne there. But round they go. I'm just trying to see who that was. It was Tinknell, and I believe that's Stoffel Vandoorne behind him now. So Arjun Maini, unfortunately, losing out from that. Possibly, I don't think that's Arjun Maini either. Which car is that in that Red Bull livery car?
I'm trying to see the car number. Oh, it's the number 1. It's the number 1.
It's Nicholas Cruton to a lap car of Cruton to get to the way. So that's unfortunate for him. getting in the way as well as Jones is out, apparently. Jones is out of the race. I don't know what's happened to him.
Oh, no.
He's dropped down into P10, so Jones has had a big problem and is out of this race. So hopefully we get a replay of that. But that is mental. How has that happened? He was in second place, a good gap to the likes of Cruz, who goes up the inside despite being lapped by Stoffel Vandoorne. Wants to get involved in the racing anyway. Stoffel Vandoorne with his pitchback maneuver now going around the outside of the lap driver. Could we see an Esteban Ocon and Max Verstappen style crash between these two? It looks like Cruz is going to get the better of Stoffel Vandoorne for the time being. Vandoorne is going to get very frustrated at the moment because all this battling from the lap driver is allowing Arjun Maini to come back at him in P12. Of course, they are just outside that vital P10 position. Tincknell is holding it down at the moment in P10 thanks to that spin or that DNF there from Ed Jones, moving him into that position, which means he is currently holding pole position for the next race.
You know, I can't believe Stoffel Vandoorne's car looks like that, and he's in 11th position. It looks like the Terminator at the end of the movie when, like, half his face is... I mean, that's incredible to me. Is he missing his entire bonnet? I mean, I don't know how he's managed to do that, but yeah, if he can take that position, though, that would give him pole for the next race, because it is, of course, reverse grid for the top 10. So whoever's in 10th position is going to be taking pole position for the second race, which is going to be only 15 minutes, just to remind everybody. And also, there is not much left to go in this race, is there?
There is not, which 3 minutes to go, and then we'll have to finish that final lap that later on. It's information has come through that Ed Jones actually unfortunately disconnected from the session, which is a reliability issue, I suppose, you would have in real life.
We don't even get a good replay of him crashing out.
No, we don't even get a good replay of him crashing out, which is unfortunate. I was hoping that maybe there was a battle between him and James Baldwin that caused him to crash out of this race, but he's having a nice battle, I think, with Fenestraz. 0.8 of a second is the gap between Baldwin and Fenestraz, and also Delétraz within a second of Fenestraz as well. Interesting to know, these cars aren't like Formula 1, so they do not have DRS, so if you are within 1 second of the car in front, you will not get DRS on that person. So it's just back to old school racing, Justin. You know, you've got to do it out on the track. You don't have any mechanical aids to help you, do you?
Yeah, no, it's all down to the driver, and we're having a look at Kodrick at the moment. Again, he's right behind Gutierrez, and he's another one of those guys with a car that's looking worse for wear. At least his is looking a little bit better than Vandoorne's, but yeah, you can see the whole front left quarter panel is missing on that car. Which, I mean, maybe it helps with cooling. I have no idea, but he's going really well. He's right behind Gutierrez. I got to say, Gutierrez, I would say, is probably contender for driver of the day for me, just because he's been putting on a heck of a show for us. It's been a lot of fun watching Gutierrez and the overtakes and defending that he's been putting on for us. And it looks like he's not done just yet, because he's got Kodrick all over the back of him. I think they could be side by side into Stowe.
They could be side by side into Stowe. If Kodrick goes for the move up the inside, he's going to have a little look up the inside. Goes Kodrick. Gutierrez having to hold it around the outside, but will he do it? It's side by side between the two of them on the exit. They still get so close. And Gutierrez forced that wide there. He's going to get the inside line now in towards the cut veil section. They touch. They touch in towards the cut veil section. Gutierrez sends Kodrick round. And that has got to be very frustrating for Kodrick there. He was batting so hard with Esteban Gutierrez. He basically had the manoeuvre done, but Gutierrez wanted to hold on there. And Kodrick goes round. Who's at fault there, Justin?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, especially from the angle that we saw. I don't want to be on anybody's bad.
You don't want anyone
calling
you later on.
Exactly. I don't want to deal with all of that. But unfortunate incident. Yeah, we'll certainly say that. But that was some more fantastic battling with Gutierrez involved. Like I said, Gutierrez has just been involved in so much battling. But other contenders for drivers of the day are these guys that have been battling for second position. Ed Jones, who unfortunately disconnected, James Baldwin, Fenestraz, and now Delétraz getting involved as well. Ryan Taviter, unfortunately, kind of dropped off this battle. I noticed that gap had grown to a little bit more than a second. It's grown even more now to a little bit more than 1.6 seconds. He's not in any danger from Bullock Bossi with how little racing we still have to go. So I think fifth position, a top 5 for Ryan Taviter. 2 Veloce cars in the top 5, in fact, in this race. So fantastic result for them. But I don't think he's going to be involved in this battle for second position anymore. Baldwin's looking very strong. I think it's really going to come down to Delétraz on Fenestraz.
It could really come down to that. Delétraz hasn't got long nose. We're watching a replay of Kotridge.
Oh, okay. I thought they were battling again.
You thought they were back again. No, this is just a replay. Kotridge going round the inside there of Stowe on Gutierrez. He gets forced up wide, and maybe Gutierrez was a little bit flustered, and he wanted to just try and keep his nose in the inside. There's slight contact between the two of them. It was very minimalistic between the two drivers, but it was enough to send Kotridge round. And unfortunately for him, that is the end. As it looks like this could be the end of the race. It depends how far ahead Lando Norris is, whether he's crossed the line or not. As I believe he has. Yes, Lando Norris is the race winner for our first race here in the Pro Series. James Baldwin will come round the final corner and claim a fantastic second position. Fenestraz holds third, just where he qualified in the race. With Louis Delétraz P4, Ryan Tavita home in P5. A great race from him as well. So there is our race winner for today, Lando Norris, drifting his car round in celebration, trying to get the back end out. As we've got a inside view there of Lando Norris. I believe that was him coming across the line there. Look at him getting the back out there, showing off his race win. But what a race that was, Justin.
Incredible stuff. In the end, he won by over 10 seconds. Almost 11 seconds. So, I mean, he's got reason to celebrate. I don't think anybody would fault him for that one. And it's not like he needs to save the engine or tires or anything. So, go nuts, Lando, I say. Oh, a lovely shot of the car there just before he disconnects. Oh, and there's Bullet Bossy coming through as well. But yeah, I have to say a fantastic race. Really enjoyed that one. Delétraz really pushing Fenestraz across the line for that final podium position. Bullet Bossy in the end finishing just outside the top 5. Giotto and Gutierrez putting on a fantastic race. Giotto, one of the big winners in terms of positions gained in the race. Just to touch on that briefly, Tavita, 7 positions gained. Luca Giotto, 8 positions gained. David Schumacher, 9 positions gained. Juan Manuel Correa, 10 positions gained, more than anybody else in the race today.
That is incredible stuff from Juan Manuel Correa. 10 positions gained. Not a great qualifying for him, but you know, showing he can do it out on track. A few incidents here or there, but you know, when you start at the lower half, especially with such a huge amount of drivers in one track, it is very easy for a couple of drivers to come up together there and a few incidents to occur. But a great showing there from Correa. We have lower down the field, Nicholas Latifi, unfortunately, down at 18th. He won't be happy with his result, unfortunately, for him. But Lando Norris is the race winner for the first Pro Series race. A great result from him. And, of course, James Baldwin second and Sasha Fenestraz rounding out the podium. We spoke about it during the race, but driver of the day, Justin. Pick one. Come on. You can't pick a few. You've got to pick one.
You know, I think I got to give it to Lando Norris. I don't like giving it to somebody who had such a boring race, because that guy had a boring race, let's be honest. But I mean, he stuck it on pole by a pretty significant margin. He led from, you know, the very first corner, wasn't even really challenged at any point in the race. After 25 minutes of racing, was almost 11 seconds ahead. So, I mean, we're talking about nearly a second a lap he pulled out, because it's a little over 2 minutes per lap. So 12, 13 laps, something like that for the entire race. With an 11-second gap, yeah, he was pulling out. And again, he wasn't involved in any battling. There was a lot of battling for second. We even had the car in second position disconnect as well. So a lot of those things went his way. But, I mean, you can't argue with that pace. And he was talking while he was doing it.
Class of his own here today. I mean, it would have helped having the P2 battle going on to get him that gap. But, you know, despite leading from the front and having a boring race, he pulled away. He got the job done. He did exactly what he needed to do. And I agree with that driver of the day. Other shouts has got to be the likes of James Baldwin moving up 4 positions into second. And even Luca Giotto. We saw some good moves from him, moving up into P7, 8 positions gained. So a great result from him. And remember, don't go anywhere, guys, because that is not it for today. We have got a reverse grid race coming up where the top 10 will be completely flipped, which means Harry Tincknell will be starting in pole position with Kodrich in P9. And Esteban Gutierrez is going to be starting third on the grid with Luca Giotto alongside him in fourth. Jemba Bassi will start in fifth with Ryan Tavita sixth. Then it'll be Louis Delétraz in seventh, Sasha Fenestraz in eighth, James Baldwin in ninth, and Lando Norris is going to be starting in 10th. So, Justin, we saw that he could lead from the front, have clear running and show a good race and put in a good performance, take the race win. Can he do it from 10th? Can he get those overtaking maneuvers done?
I wouldn't bet against him, especially after that showing. He's got to be feeling pretty good, does Lando Norris. So even starting from 10th position I have a feeling he's going to be pretty confident. I don't know for sure if he's going to be the one that takes home the victory in race number 2. Again, it is shorter as well. It's only 15 minutes long. So we're talking probably 8 laps, I would assume, is what we're looking at, with it just being just over 2 minutes. And the cars are going to be pretty light with fuel as well. They're really not going to have to worry about tire conservation as well. So I wouldn't bet against Norris. Certainly, I'm going to say top 3 for Lando Norris. He's going to be on the podium.
Okay, top 3 for Lando Norris. Let's see where he ends up at the end of the race. Interesting people to talk about. Of course, there's going to be a lot of people rooting for Thierry Marduk, unfortunately down in 19th position. I think he was caught up in a fair few incidents at the start of the race. He didn't have the greatest of qualifying positions, starting down in 21st. And as I said earlier, if you are starting in that sort of position, more than likely there's going to be 1 or 2 incidents, and you may get caught up in it. A few drivers didn't. But Benjamin Daly, Thierry Marduk, unfortunately did there, and he finished today's race in P19. So he'll be looking to try and have a better second race. It's a shorter one. He's going to have to try and come through the field from P19. But if he can get into the top 10, I know him, he will be very, very thrilled with that. Someone else to talk about, if they can get him back into the session, is going to be Ed Jones. He's going to be starting way down the field now. After having such a good qualifying session, being so quick, what can he do from near the back of the field, Justin?
I'm going to say a top 10. I think, even saying top 5 might be a bit generous, but I mean, we did see a lot of cars facing the wrong way on the opening lap of that first 25-minute race. So, if he can keep it clean and avoid any sort of incidents or spinning cars, that kind of stuff. And of course, he is going to be, he's an experienced racing driver, so he's going to be looking out for that sort of thing. His situational awareness is going to be at peak levels. So, I'd say top 10, definitely. He's going to be up there for sure. I think it's going to be very interesting because, of course, we had Bolbasi, Giotto, Gutierrez, Kodrick, Tinknell. All of these guys were involved in those midfield battles or in the middle of the top 10 kind of battles, even for kind of podium positions during that first race. And they're now all starting from first, second, third, and fourth. So that, I think, is going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually... Now that I'm thinking about the order, I'm really, really excited for this.
It's going to be really exciting to see the likes of Lando Norris flip from 10th and see where he can come, of course, being so much quicker than some of the guys ahead of him. But Ed Jones, as we touched upon earlier, is just going to have to be consistent, clean, try and get through the guys who may have a few incidents early on. But if he can do that, then he can certainly push the top 10 because he was setting great lap times in practice, also in qualified way up there, I think in second place on the grid. So he is quick. And he will be looking to try and come through the field. Other people to talk about who a lot of people, as you know, we've got some of your tweets on screen at the moment. So this is from Susie. Awesome dinner, glass of wine, and watching Veloce Esports Pro race equals happy lassie. By the way, what a race so far. Thank you very much, Susie. If you guys want to get involved, don't forget to use the hashtag Veloce Pro, and your tweet will flash up on our screen. So don't forget to do that. Justin? What would be your comment? Oh no, we've got another one. Here we go. This is from Ross Quinn. Is Lando Norris, Team Lando, 100% robot? This is some race. Of course, Lando Bot was trending last week in the F1 Virtual GP. Maybe he's back again. Maybe he's put it on pause and his AI is driving around doing the business once more. That would be interesting to see. Who would win out of Lando Norris and Lando Bot? Maybe we need to get that going. Maybe we need to put those two on track and see what happens between those two. I'm wondering if we've got any more other tweets coming through or whether that's going to be it for the time being. Justin, what are you looking forward to most for this next race?
Ed Jones. I'm just going to say that really, really quickly. And I do hope that because he is going to be starting well down the order, but he's going to have to do a lot of overtaking, and I don't doubt his ability to make those overtakes one bit. So I do hope we get to see some of those overtakes that he makes because there's going to be a lot of them, possibly like 12.5 of them.
Well, we did see, of course, he was battling with Fenestraz. So we know that he can overtake and he can do it cleanly. So yeah, I agree. One to watch this race, as well as some of the other guys who have a point to prove after a disappointing first race, definitely.
I think James Baldwin as well. He's going to be trying to follow Lando as much as he possibly can, not let him get ahead, or indeed try to stay ahead of Lando Norris, because he will be starting ahead of Lando. So I think James Baldwin is going to be one to watch. He's going to have to be on the attack, but also defensive. He's going to have to be watching out for Lando behind, but also trying to move ahead.
Talking of James Baldwin, and in fact, Jem Bullitt-Bassi, and even the likes of Benjamin Daly too. Also, cut off there. We are going to a show reel. Sorry, guys. If you are enjoying this race here today and all the content that you have been seeing recently, then go follow Veloce Esports on their YouTube and their other socials if you want to see more racing content like you are seeing in front of you. Another tweet coming in. This is from Sam. Hashtag Veloce Pro, class battling, hoping for a Baldwin P1. So the question I was going to ask, Justin, as that show reel was coming on, is for the likes of James Baldwin and Benjamin Daly and Jem Bullitt-Bassi, how important and how amazing is this going to feel for those guys who are battling with real life racing drivers?
It's going to be crazy for them. I mean, this is a dream come true. It's a dream come true for all of us, honestly. So it's unfortunate circumstances we find ourselves in, but you know, we're making the best of a bad situation. We are making the best of a bad situation. Don't forget, guys, stay safe, stay at home. We can all get through this together if we all just, you know, do our little part, and our thoughts and prayers go out to all the healthcare workers and everybody who has been affected with this tough time, as we are getting up and running for the pace lap, which is going on out at the moment. So we will cut ahead to the race just before that gets started. But quickly, before we get started, who's your money on, Justin? Ooh, you know, I'm going for Gutierrez.
Get past the two leaders very early on. He will have some good fun. Of course, he qualified very high up as we're going to get going for the pace lap, which will go round the final section of corners. So we've got a little bit of talking that we can still do. Of course, Tincknell leading the way with Kodric in third, in second with Gutierrez in third. Vita will be starting in P5 as a few of these drivers are switching over positions. It's basically very difficult to read out these orders, isn't it, Justin? Oh my God, that is crazy. We will just we'll watch on board with these guys for the time being. It's interesting to see their numbers are on the side. So if you see their number on their car, that is the one that is on the right-hand side next to their names. They come through the club veil section now. The pace car is in, so that means that now Tincknell is going to be leading the pace, as we'll be looking at Kodric. Can he get the job done around the outside? Of course, you cannot overtake the car in front until you have passed the start-finish line. As there goes Tincknell and Kodric, as Ryan Tavita with a great start on second and third. Might go round the outside, down in towards turn one. Can he get the job done? Kodric holding the inside line. Gutierrez now having a look up the inside in towards turn one. Has to go round the outside into turn two. But Ryan Tavita holds on to third position for the time being. Gutierrez back up the inside. Veloce with a great start as well. He is up into fifth place at the time being, as Delétraz having a little battle there with Jem Bullitt-Bassi, as it now looks like Veloce is going up the inside of Gutierrez. Can he get the job done? And now he's got Ryan Tavita in third position. Just over there's a spinner just in the background. I think that might have been Cohen, as Daly's dropping down the positions as well, as Gutierrez goes back up the inside there of Jem Bullitt-Bassi, but he gets a switchback move, and now we'll get the inside line. He holds it in towards Luffield, and what a switchback move that was there. from Gianbullet Bassi to get the job done on Esteban Gutierrez. Your money was on him. Unfortunately, Justin, it's dropping down the order. Godric still leads the way in first position. Ryan Peter holding up second for the time being, actually moving into second over Tinknell, who is now coming under attack, I believe, from Fenestraz. Yes, he is. Fenestraz getting the inside line in towards Costa. He might actually get both of them. Savita goes wide. They're going to go side by side in towards Maggots and Beckett, and Fenestraz goes round the outside. What a move, Justin, to move up into second place. And what a start that is for Fenestraz to get up into P2.
I can't even believe that. That was absolutely incredible. Very opportunistic, taking advantage of the cars that were running wide, obviously, but still a fantastic move regardless. I have to say, really enjoyable racing that we have here on the opening lap. Really, really good stuff, but we can see the cams there of those guys. Oh, is that Gutierrez? And who is that missing their rear wing? Actually, that's Delétraz, missing his entire rear wing and the trunk lid as well, too. They're the boot lid on his car, so that's unfortunate for him. Oh, Gutierrez! Oh, that's a big... Oh, no! That's a few people getting spun around there. I think losing out on that one. Yep, and Gutierrez still facing the right way, though. Yeah.
Gutierrez still, facing the right way. Now he is under attack from Lando Norris. These two going side by side in towards the very high-speed first corner. It looks like Lando Norris gets the job done, moving up into sixth position. He's not really getting a move on as quickly as the likes of Fenestraz, but he knows his own pace, and he will be looking to get through the field as round. I believe Gutierrez, yes, he does.
Yep.
Gutierrez has a spin, a bit of a moment, maybe contact there with Muller, and also Jones up into ninth position. What a start from Jones there. Antonio Felix Costa moving up 17 positions in this race, with Jones moving up 12. What a start for those two. I want to see on board from Felix Costa if we can get that on later. We're going to get a replay actually of the start. So we're watching on board with James Baldwin at the moment. So he's got the outside line on Lando Norris down in towards turn 3 as the car sandwiched in between two of them. Oh, contact with Norris.
That was Vandoorne.
Does very well. Okay, Vandoorne getting caught up. Lots of collisions there. Baldwin doing very well, though, to get out of the way of everybody else, putting it into reverse and just letting the car roll out of the way of everybody else. But again, lots of collisions down in towards in the back end of the field. Schumacher into the pits, Galeo into the pits, Cassidy, Giotto, and Correa. So they have not had a good start, getting damage that has had to cost them dearly as they've come into the pits. But Fenestraz still holding on to P2 as we're watching this battle with car 19 at the moment, which is Archie Hamilton. He's currently on the back of Nicholas Latifi as they go down in towards the Maggots and Beckett sections. It looks like Hamilton getting off track there. Not really too sure what's happened to him, but that allows Arjun Maini through, as ahead of those is Cruton. This time not a lap down. He is involved in the battles as it looks like Bullet Bassi was having a battle with Ryan Tavita. Lando Norris now up into 4th position. Fantastic start. Maybe there's a problem there for Ryan Tavita as he's now down into 8th place. Antonio Felix da Costa, his start just gets even better and better. He's up into 7th place, Justin.
18 positions gained for Antonio Felix da Costa. That is an unbelievable start and a very good drive to avoid all of the incidents that we've been seeing that have already taken out 4 drivers in this race, and a number of them having to head into the pits as we ride on board with Gianbullet Bassi. And he's right behind Lando Norris, and both of these guys with some actually absolutely huge followings. So this is going to be clash of the fan bases, I think, here. Gianbullet Bassi getting a great exit. Could be a threat on the run down towards Brooklands on the Wellington Straight. It looks like he didn't run quite as wide as Lando Norris, so that could be an opportunity for him. Here is a replay of this is the number 5 car. Yeah, this was with Gutierrez, and unfortunately, he just got a tap at the rear, sent him spinning round. And then he made that contact at the rear end as well. I have noticed, Hayden, by the way, a number of these guys have damage. When we were on board with Lando Norris earlier, you could see him turning left to go straight. So I imagine there are a few drivers, at least a few drivers, that are experiencing some kind of damage.
That's incredible then from Lando Norris, as he's having to not steer as you normally would, but still be up into P4. So that is incredible. I think you can just see the wheel maybe on the straight just going to one way. So that's incredible. Of course,
it's slight.
Slight, okay. but we've got Delétraz ahead. He's got damage, of course. We can see that. So his whole boot is missing. We can almost see what's in his boot. Has he done the shopping today? Has he got any shopping bags in the back of there? He's trying to hunt down Fenestrats, who is building a bit of a gap. Interesting, a couple of drives out. Miney has just gone out of today's race, so maybe that was a disconnection or a collision for him. You've also got Correa is out of the race. Giotto, who had a fantastic first race, unfortunately, out. Nick Cassidy out as well. And Schumacher, David Schumacher is out of the race, so that is going to be bad from Schumacher. He is down in 22nd position and out of today's race. Galeo just said Miney is out of today's race, so that was the reason. So unfortunately for him, not too sure what has happened to Miney, but cutting back to this battle, Lando Norris going on the attack of Louis Delétraz. He also has Giorgio Piola, not too far behind him, not close enough to really mount a challenge or put him under pressure, but close enough just to let him know that if you make a mistake, I am there to pounce on it.
Yeah, I think so. At the moment, by the way, in the top 5, Lando Norris is the quickest. He set a 2:04.4 personal best last lap. It was about 0.3 quicker than Giorgio Piola, so just extending that gap ever so slightly. And it was about also about 0.3 quicker than Louis Delétraz. So he is certainly on the move, is Lando Norris, despite any slight damage that he might be experiencing in that car. You can see he's right up to the back. And he's not going to be making the move at this particular moment, but he might be looking to stay very, very close through left field and see if he can make that overtake before they get down into Copse.
It's very, very close between the two of them. A little bit of a nudge just to let Delétraz know that Lando is right on his tail. We might have lost him a little bit of ground on the exit, but on the run down now into Copse corner, he's going to be reeling him in, pulling on that slipstream and trying to maybe mount a charge through Magnussen Beckett. It's a place where we don't really see many people go for overtakes, but we did see Fenestrats go for the overtake there on Ryan Tavita, and also I think, it was Ryan Tavita through that corner, but Lando Norris not deciding to go for that. He's biding his time. There's still a bit of a way to go. We're about at the halfway stage now of this 15-minute race, and he is right on the back of Louis Delétraz. Fenestrats not too far up the road though, so if Lando does get past Delétraz, Fenestrats is just ahead, and it's weird saying Delétraz and Fenestrats having the same end of their names there, Justin. But Luca, as Giorgio Piola, still behind this battle, just waiting to see what he can do in this race. Doing a good job at the moment, as Costa looks like he might have just got a double overtake on Ryan Tavita, and Jones, he hops back up into 6th position. That looks like a nice battle possibly going on back there, but currently we're watching this better battle going on for the last podium position. Delétraz v Norris. Norris still very, very close to Delétraz's car. He's going to be following all the way through this complex of corners, through turn 1, through turn 2, places where you can't really overtake, but turn 3 is a great overtaking opportunity. Will he go up the inside? He looks for it now. Lando Norris up the inside in towards Village, and it looks like it's going to be job done. But Delétraz with a bit of a switchback maneuver will try it again on Lando Norris, winding him up, but it looks like he's going to hold position. He knows that maybe he doesn't have the pace to match Lando with the damage on his car. So for now, he is holding on to P4. But will that release Lando Norris to go on the attack of Fenestrats?
Textbook, absolutely textbook stuff from Lando Norris. The way that he executed that was just really fantastic. Into Village, through the loop, defending correctly, not coming under attack on the run down towards Brooklands. And you can see immediately we're getting an answer to that question, actually, and he is immediately on the attack on Fenestrats. There is now a nearly 3-second gap to Kodrick up ahead, who is still leading this race, having a relatively quiet race. But you can see, look at how close Lando Norris is getting to the back of that car, just clipping that car very nicely, running a little bit wide there, as does Delétraz. I think Bolak keeping things on the track very nicely through Maggots and Beckett's once again, as we're coming up to the 5 minutes remaining mark here, Hayden.
Only 5 minutes to go, and it is getting very tense. Can Lando Norris get past Fenestrats? And then if he does, can he then go on the attack of Godwin? It can be a very close finish to this end of the race there. 5 minutes. Lando Norris is very quick. He's the quickest guy out on track. His fastest lap is currently 3/10. Oh, so close to the back of Fenestrats there. Close the door. Of course, these two know each other well, but Lando Norris up the inside in towards Stowe, and it looks like that is job done. Can Fenestrats come back in? Delétraz looking around the outside in towards Club and Vale. Can he go for it? Delétraz around the outside, no contact, wheel to wheel between the two of them. Delétraz holding it in there, in towards the final corner. I think Fenestrats might just get the best of him. He's held out wide, but Fenestrad, I think, has got the better exit, as it looks like Giancarlo Bassi itching to get involved in this battle. I was going to say Lando Norris and Sasha Fenestrad know each other very well. Used to be roommates, of course. Played a lot of iRacing together. So Lando Norris... Oh, great move there from Giancarlo Bassi up the inside of Delétraz, exactly where Lando Norris got past, but couldn't quite get the job done like Lando did. But can he get the switch back? Can he get the run down on the Wellington straight in towards Brooklands? Here goes Giancarlo Bassi on the back, running out very, very wide. No real rush to get back on the circuit there from Giancarlo Bassi, and that unfortunately has cost him in that battle with Delétraz, as Delétraz holds on to the position 4 now.
Wonderful racing. Really enjoying this stuff. This is really working out well for Lando Norris, though, as he's built a pretty significant gap, over 1 second, 1.4 seconds or so now between Lando Norris and Fenestrad. But the four-way battle has turned into a three-way battle. Again, as you said, Lando Norris currently the fastest car out on track at the moment. Although last lap, Kodrick did outpace Norris ever so slightly by about 1/10.5, so really doing very well to maintain that almost 3-second gap between himself and Lando Norris, who is on that charge, already up into second position. I did say a podium for Lando Norris. He's really running out of time, though. He's got about 3 minutes and then some, three and a bit minutes, essentially, to try and close down that 3-second gap for the lead.
Yeah, only 3 minutes and the remaining lap to go in this race, coming on lap 6 of this 15-minute race. It looks like Delétraz having a look on Fenestrad, but unfortunately with that damage, it is costing him dearly. Will that allow Giancarlo Bassi to come back into it? I'm going to run you through the order, as we have got just under 3 minutes left to go. Kodrick currently leading the way, but Lando Norris is reeling him in. He did set a faster lap time than Lando Norris on the previous lap, but of course Lando was battling with a few of the other guys. That's probably why his lap time was a bit slower, as it looks like Kodrick coming across the line. His lap time, yes, Lando Norris is quicker last lap by nearly 1 whole second. He is grouped in a whole second on Kodrick. So we could see a battle for the lead right at the end of this race. Fenestrad currently holding down third with Delétraz in fourth. There's Giancarlo Bassi in fifth, having a little lunge on Delétraz, but not quite going for it. Antonio Felix da Costa currently in sixth place. He has gained 19 positions since the start. Incredible stuff from him. Edward Jones currently gained 14 positions. He's currently sitting in seventh with Ryan Tavita in eighth. James Baldwin, not a great start from him with the contact with Lando and Stoffel Vandoorne, getting sandwiched between the two of them, but he is holding down P9 with Tinknell just behind him, rounding out the top 10. This battling seeming to continue between these three guys, and you've got to say, Justin, Delétraz is doing a fantastic job with the damage that he's got at the moment.
Yeah. I think Baldwin must have damage as well, too, by the way. He is lapping considerably slower than what we saw in the first race, to the tune of about 1 second or so. So I think it's very likely that Baldwin's picked up some kind of damage, whether visible or not, that's just slowing him down, which is why he's only just inside the top 10 at the moment. But he is just behind Tavita, so the two Veloce cars again in the top 10. They were both in the top 5 in the first race, in the top 10 for this race here today. But Fenestrad doing a great job defending from Delétraz. Bullock Bassi has been trying to get involved in this. He's got his nose alongside a few times, that kind of stuff, but really hasn't been a threat to third position. He's been more of a slight threat to fourth position. You can see actually losing a little bit of time as they make their way down towards Stowe. Once again, running very close to the end of the race now, actually, so not too much longer, I think, until we see the checkered flag come out. And there is your race leader, Martin Kodrick, doing a fantastic job. The McLaren GT3 factory driver leading the way. He's now only got a 2-second gap to Lando Norris, who actually just picked up another 10th or so while I was saying that. So Norris is definitely going quickly. You can see him in the back of shot there. You'll see him coming through just behind the number 22 as they make their way onto the start-finish straight. And we're just about to hit the time limit now. Yeah,
unfortunately for Kodrick, he would have liked to hit come across the start-finish line. The time to go down just before he got there, but unfortunately, he's going to have to do one more lap. And I believe they are coming up to a few lap drivers. I think that might have been, I think it was that Lando Norris behind him out on track. It might have been a lap car. I'm not too sure. As Norris now comes through the loop, he's got 1.5 seconds to try and catch up in the remaining lap of this race. He is quicker than Kodrick by about half a second on the previous lap, so there is every chance if Kodric does make a mistake. So they now come in towards Luffield. Kodric, nice line through there. Lando Norris hugging it a lot closer than Kodric did. Kodric went for a wider line, a later apex, and now a different sort of style of racing line through that corner as well. Kodric going for the double apex. Lando Norris really hugging it all the way through there, and the gap has now come down to 1.2 seconds. Unfortunately for him, as I said earlier, it's not like F1. When he gets into within 1 second of the guy ahead, it doesn't mean that he's going to get DRS down the hanger straight. He's got to do it with his own ability out on track, and he really needs to close in that gap if he wants to try and get this race win. Don't get me wrong, it's been a fantastic race for Lando Norris to get himself up into P2, but boy, would we love to see a battle for the race win right at the end of this race. And he's really closing in now, 7/10 of a second between Norris and Kodric, dropped down to 8/10 of a second. So he's going to have to really send it in this final complex of corners, the final sector of this race, if he wants to get the job done on Kodric. Can he get it done as Norris now comes through Stowe, hugging the inside line, no mistakes, textbook driving there from Lando Norris in towards the club and Vale section. Kodric, can he hold on to it? A couple of corners left to go, and if he doesn't make any mistakes here, he is going to get the race win in the reverse grid race of the Veloce Pro Series. He is our second race winner here today, but Lando Norris with a great second place, a fantastic drive back through the field, and probably the star of the show here today. Fenestraz crosses the line in P3. Delétraz and Jem Bullock-Bassi still having that battle out on track, with Delétraz getting the better of Bullock-Bassi. Antonio Felix da Costa, what a drive from him up into P6. Another contender for driver of the day as Team at Marduk coming around the final corner. Nearly got Cohen at the end of the race, but unfortunately crossed the line in P15. Jones finishes in 7th with Tavita in 8th, James Baldwin 9th, and Tinknell rounding out the top 10. Then we move down to the drivers who finished outside the top 10. There we had Nico Muller in 11th, Pietro Fittipaldi in P12, Stoffel Vandoorne in 13th, Cohen in 14th, Benjamin Daly, as we saw, Team at Marduk, just missing out on P14 there, finishing in 15th. Gutierrez 16th, not a good start for him. Caught up in too many collisions and unfortunately dropped down the field. I think you jinxed him, Justin. You said your money was on him, and he finishes down in 16th position. Nicholas Latifi 17th, Sean Galale in 18th, with Cruton 19th, Archie Hamilton 20th, and then the drivers who did not finish of Arjun Maini, David Schumacher, Nicholas Cassidy, Luca Giotto, and Juan Manuel Correa. What a race, Justin. That was incredible.
That was absolutely incredible. And I think because we were rightfully, this wasn't a mistake, we were rightfully focused on Lando Norris, who was closing up for the lead of the race right on that final lap. Very, very close. But I think we unfortunately missed out on an epic duel between Louis Delétraz and Jem Bullock-Bassi for 4th position. I saw while Lando was closing in for the lead, those two were swapping positions several times over the course of the lap. So unfortunately, we think missed out on that one, but really incredible stuff. I really, really enjoyed it. Wow, that was such a pleasure from start to finish. And just like with not the Bahrain GP last week, it was a fantastic idea to have the reverse grid race. Big fan of that. Love that we did it. It really spiced things up.
It really did spice that up. Of course, Lando Norris having a great race back through the field. And even for the guys like Jones and Felix da Costa, who did not have a great first race, allowing them to put on a show and come back through the field was absolutely incredible. Jem Bullock-Bassi, definitely a good result for him as well, finishing in the top 5. As we've got a few drivers in the call, so we're going to do a few interviews at the moment. Who is there? Hello, who is there currently in the call with us?
Hello.
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 What have we got? Who's in the call?
Could
you guess? Could you guess
Oh,
who
well,
we
I've
were
got Lando. I can hear Lando. Stoffel.
Yeah,
Hello.
and Martin.
Yep. Hello. Who else is in here?
Martin Kodric.
Yeah.
Kodric. Oh, great race from all of you guys. Kodric getting the second win, but first of all, we'll come to you, Lando Norris. Easy drive at the end of the day in race 1. Just sort of drove away from everybody else and didn't really sweat it, did you?
Well, it was helped by the guys behind passing a lot. That made my life much more easy. But no, it was quite straightforward. I mean, just because I didn't have to fight anyone. But race 2, as soon as I was a bit more in the battle, it was the same with Martin. He just managed to break away, not get caught up in anything. Because as soon as you started battling, you were losing so much time in this car. So that was just my race 1. I managed to have a clean start, pull away, and kind of, not have to push too hard and make any mistakes. But race 2 was the opposite, and I had to push quite a bit harder to try and catch Martin towards the end, and that was forcing me to make a few more mistakes.
What was going through your head, Martin, as Lando was closing in on you on those last remaining laps? Martin, you there?
Oh, he's gone.
Okay,
he's not.
We might have lost Martin. Okay, Lando, what was going through your head as you were closing in on Martin?
What was going through my head? Well, I was praying that he was going to make a few mistakes, because I knew it's kind of with the laps we had left and the rate I was closing him down, that it was possible, but I needed that little mistake from him, and I made one mistake on the final lap. I was the second to last lap into turn 3, and I just felt like that was my chance. That was the chance I lost to maybe get to him and pressure him that little bit more into the final few corners. But even if I nailed everything, I think it would have been a bit of a push to get him. So fair play to him. He drove well and didn't make any mistakes.
It was very close between the two of you by the end of the race. You were really pushing in, and a great battle as well with the likes of Sasha, Louis Delétraz, and Jem Bullet-Bassi working your way through the field in that race too. You know Sasha very well. You've raced with him in the past on iRacing. So was that overtake easier because you've raced against him before?
No, I mean I lived with him for like 2 years, so we raced against each other a lot, and he's a good mate of mine. But no, I think still when he gets onto the track, we still fight each other hard. I pressured him in a way to kind of force him to brake late on the inside into Stowe onto the back straight, or end of the back straight. And I kind of preempted that he was going to brake late, obviously, because we changed direction quite late. And in these heavy cars, these V8s, you have to be very slow with everything. You can't, it's not very reactive car. So we moved very late on, and I kind of expected him, or was hoping that it was going to push him wide, which it did. And I just hit it down another gear and managed to get past him. But no, I don't think, even if we were good mates or not, it would have changed the outcome.
Of course, you were streaming whilst that was going on. I guess the Twitch chat was going wild for that second race, because it was crazy to see coming through the field, especially the start.
Yeah, they were loving it. I actually, I quite often have to put my my chat into emote only mode, because I try and read my Twitch chat way too much, and I make a lot of mistakes when I do that. It was good fun, and I love these cars. As tricky as they are, especially when the rear deg starts to kick in, then it becomes a bit more of a handful. But these cars are super fun to drive. So I hope it was good for everyone to watch as well.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for taking part in today's race. We hope to see you in the next races that we do.
Thank you very much. I'll see you very soon.
See you soon, Lando. Have a good evening. Justin, let's talk about that race.
I mean, we'd be here for hours if we
would be here
even
for
just
hours.
breaking down that 15-minute race. That was incredible. It was so much better than I was even hoping for, to be honest. I mean, again, I think the reverse grid idea is fantastic. I think it really, adds an element of entertainment to this. And it's not too serious. I mean, these guys are taking it pretty serious, no doubt about it. But we're all just here to have a good time, try and take our minds off of the things that are happening in the real world, and just sit back and enjoy some fantastic racing. And that's exactly what we got today. That was really a cut above among the best sim racing that I've seen in my entire life. I really, really enjoyed that one. Yeah, I'm gutted for Gutierrez, and I want to apologize for commentator cursing him. I will never pick him to win ever again, but secretly I am hoping that he'll win every time from here on out.
Don't forget, guys, we want to know what you thought about both races here today. You can get involved using the hashtag Veloce Pro, and we'll be showing your tweets along the right-hand side of your screens. I wonder if we've got any few to come through at the moment. We're just waiting on those. But surprise of the field, I suppose, has got to be Antonio Felix da Costa and Ed Jones. I mean, they just had a phenomenal drive. 19 positions gained from Antonio Felix da Costa. I want to see that on board because that is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, was he streaming? I don't know, or recording or something. I really, really hope that he was.
As we've got a tweet come in, this is from Theed Ward Rose. Lando Norris was fire today in the Veloce Pro races. Such a great thing to have given the situation, except now my 10-year-old wants iRacing for his Xbox sim rig. Thanks, Veloce Esports. Unfortunately for you, you just got to go out and do it. You're going to have to get him. You don't never know. Sim racing is on the way up, and he could be, if he gets involved now, he could be battling with the likes of Lando Norris in a few years' time. You just never know with esports where people can come from. But that is absolutely incredible stuff. Thank you for sending in your tweet. Have we got any more to come through? I suppose we just wait for those at the moment.
By the way,
Edward Rose.
Edward Rose. Oh, it's Luke. Look at Luke.
It's Luke. Do you want to read this one?
Yeah, sure. Luke saying, really enjoyable Veloce Pro race. Lando Norris absolutely crushed it out there. I mean, yeah, first and second. Pole and lights to flag win in race one, then P10 to P2 in the reverse grid race. Great work all. Yeah, really, really enjoyed that. Glad Luke enjoyed it as well, too. Luke is a lad. Love Luke. Everybody loves Luke. Yeah, glad he enjoyed it. And I hope you guys all enjoyed it. I know I had a blast.
Thank you very much, Luke, for watching and getting involved. This is from Tiff Designs Studio. Great racing, Veloce Pro. The Veloce car was certainly the best looking cars, so thank you very much. Great race, Veloce Pro, Veloce Esports, and hashtag iRacing as well. So thank you for getting in touch. Have we got any more to cycle through? As we want to know your guys' opinions. You know, that hashtag is there. We want to hear. This is as much as our series as it is yours. Of course, you chose the track. You chose Ben Daly's car. So we want you guys to get involved as much as possible. This is from Daniel Butler. Hashtag Veloce Pro. Race 1 has been amazing. Race 2 has been amazing as well. It's all just amazing. Well done, Veloce. Thank you very much. Of course, it's not just us. It is Motorsport Games as well, and put to us by Giorgio Piola. So thank you to everybody who has been involved in this amazing project. Driver of the day, race 2, Justin.
Ooh, I'm going to give it to Antonio Felix da Costa because seriously, 25th to 6th, that is an epic drive.
That is an epic drive. I really want to see that on board so badly.
Same.
I want to see how he went from like 10 positions gained in lap 1. A very Jembul Bassi from Not the Bar GP. Edward Jones as well is probably a good shout for that one. Pietro Fittipaldi gaining 11 positions. Unfortunately, it was outside the top 10, which is where you always want to be. Even if there's no points on show, you always want to be in that top 10 position, don't you, Justin?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, that's sort of the magic number a lot of times when it comes to the points and everything. So even if only kind of like in the back of your mind, you're hoping, it's just nice to have a single digit number to even say like P9, something like that. But yeah, I mean, I would imagine Pietro is going to be pretty happy with that result. Again, 11 positions gained, started not that far ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa and finished not that far behind him either. He was only 19 seconds off the leader after that 15 minutes of racing. And that's while being caught in a lot of traffic as well. So that is a solid drive too.
I think this is probably going to be an easy answer for you. The easiest question you've had to answer all day, Justin. But driver of the day for the whole show.
Got to give it to Lando. I mean, he's a fan favorite. He came first and second. He took that pole position. We only had the one qualifying session, and he took that pole by a significant margin. If we were giving away points, he would be the points leader after today's races.
Yes, he sure would be. Sasha Fenestraz would be up there as well. Definitely a good showing for both races from him. And also the likes of Louis Delétraz and Jem Bullet-Bassi, you know, getting a good top 10 finish in the first race, but also solidifying that in the second race and not getting involved in too many incidents. Of course, unfortunately for our very own James Baldwin, caught up in the incident down at turn 1. Do you remember that incident, Justin, down in towards turn 3, where Vandoorne got stuck in? How frustrating would that have been for James Baldwin? Because it wasn't really any fault of his own, was it?
Right. I mean, yeah, there was essentially a wall of carbon fiber ahead of him. So, I mean, there really wasn't anywhere to go. It was, an unfortunate incident, a racing incident as well. Let's be honest. With the number of racing drivers that we have out there, there's going to be some racing incidents. So, it's unfortunate for James Baldwin, but again, he still put on a heck of a showing. Finished in the top 10 in both races, top 5 in one of those races as well. Ryan Tavita as well, also representing Veloce with another top 5 and top 10. So both of them doing a great job. And again, that car looked incredible.
Doing a great job indeed. Hopefully we do come back for a second round of the Veloce Pro Series. And if we do, Justin, where would you like us to race in the next one? Any tracks on your mind?
Nordschleife.
Nordschleife. You want to see all these drivers go around the Nordschleife? That would be incredible to see.
Why, it's a bit cruel to say Nordschleife.
Just because it's my favorite track.
Probably half. I'm gonna go with half the grid. So if we had 24 drivers, I think about 12 would finish it. Yeah, it's a bit cruel, but I just love it as a circuit. Again, I did vote for Watkins Glen though in the vote that we had, and for those watching, I assume we're gonna have another vote. So make sure to keep an eye out on the Veloce socials for that, so you can get involved. But I think Watkins Glen as well would be a fantastic track, one that's a little bit less known as well. Again, Silverstone is a track that all of these drivers are going to be super familiar with, if only in the virtual world. So I think it'd be really cool to get a circuit that maybe they're a little bit less comfortable with.
Thank you for that, Justin. And thank you for hosting alongside me today. It's been an incredible show, and it's been great to have you alongside with me.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
That is going to do for this first ever episode of the Veloce Pro Series. Thank you guys very much for watching. Also in partnership with Motorsport Games and brought to you by Giorgio Piola. Don't forget, guys, that our thoughts are with everybody who is currently suffering through these difficult times, all those health workers and the public services that are doing such a fantastic job at this such terrible time. You know, it's incredible to see, but we can do our part. Just make sure you stay safe, stay at home, and just don't go out for any unnecessary reasons. But that has been it for today's show. From me and Justin, we'll see you again next time.